Okay, so following on from yesterday's announcement from GoPro about its new GP3 SoC processor, let's take a bit of a deeper dive into what this might mean for the company in 2026, because there's a few little details in that press release that deserve some closer attention. Now, in my haste to release a video yesterday, I didn't have time to cover all the nuances in the press release, so I do want to talk about details, and it does appear that there is much more to GoPro's ambition in terms of camera development than people might have given them credit for. Now, we know from a previous patent submission that GoPro does appear to be working on a vlogging camera in a similar vein to DJI's Pocket series, but the potential doesn't stop there. Now, in yesterday's press release, GoPro specifically mentioned action cameras, 360 cameras, vlogging cameras, and ultra premium compact cinema grade cameras. The fact that GoPro is talking about compact cinema cameras is intriguing to say the least. And the phrase cinema grade is used throughout the press release. We know from previous earnings calls that GoPro intends to stagger releases of cameras throughout 2026, and that the company fully intends to diversify from its traditional action camera market. Now, I've been talking about the potential for a vlogging camera for a while now, but the idea that GoPro might move into the cinema camera space is not one that I've seriously contemplated before. Now, as I mentioned, looking through yesterday's press release, the company mentions the phrase cinema grade a number of times. Furthermore, if you look at the images that GoPro released from the GP3 powered camera, it's interesting that they are much more cinematic in nature than previous GoPro releases. There's no adventure sport, there's no mountain biking, there's no base jumping. All of those images are very cinematic in nature and sort of move away from that traditional action camera marketing that we've come to expect from GoPro. Now, these images could well mean that a compact cinema camera is ready to go, or is very close to being ready to go. It's a theory that has legs, given that Nick Woodman stated GP3's bleeding edge cinema grade performance would enable GoPro to enter the ultra premium end of the imaging market this year. So whatever GoPro has up its sleeve, we are likely to see it this year, barring any kind of delay. My current thinking is that we will see the Hero 14 and possibly a vlogging camera this spring, and then possibly this higher end entry into the market in the fall. But what could we expect from a cinema camera from GoPro? Now, I'm going to stick my neck out a little bit and say that I'm not expecting a cinema camera in the same vein as Sony's FX2 or some of the offerings from Nikon or Canon. It's certainly not impossible, but there would be a large question over the lens mount if it was an interchangeable lens camera, unless GoPro had joined the L-mount alliance, which there's no indication of. Although, having said that, if the camera was to use interchangeable lenses, it could potentially use something like C-mount and use a smaller sensor. So perhaps not a full frame camera, but something that could use those C-mount lenses that, you know, are quite ubiquitous and easy to get hold of. But while such a camera isn't an impossibility, and I'm not going to completely write off the idea, I think what we might see is a camera that takes on the compact and rugged nature that we've come to expect from GoPro, but adds more professional usability and features such as much better audio capabilities, decent timecode, better I/O, and maybe a bigger sensor as well, perhaps a mechanical iris. That's also a possibility, as well as autofocus. In other words, I'm thinking more along the lines of something like Sony's RX02, which outwardly looks like an action camera, and indeed it's rugged, it's crush proof, it's waterproof, but it has an autofocus system and a flip out LCD, and the emphasis is very much on image quality. Something else that was said in the press release was a quote from Senior Vice President of Product Management, Pablo Lima, and he said, GP3 provides a scalable, proprietary foundation we can leverage to power GoPro cameras across existing and future product categories. Now, the key word there is scalable. Now, GoPro often uses a chip such as the GP1 and the GP2 for many years before it upgrades it, and it needs a brand new chip. But the mention that GP3 is scalable is interesting because it could mean that aspects of the design can be massively upgraded over time, or you might be able to increase the number of cores depending on the type of application it's being used to, but without the need for a complete redesign of the chip. So I'm thinking again, something along the lines of Apple's M series chips. They can be combined to make more powerful variations. So it is clear that GoPro is looking very long term with the GP3 and seems very confident in its power and its ability to be able to adapt. Now, either way we look at it, 2026 is shaping up to be an incredibly interesting year and potentially the biggest and most important year for GoPro in its history. I have to say that things are currently looking very positive, but a lot is going to depend on whether these products make it to market this year without any delays. We've seen in the recent past how cameras like the Max 2 have been delayed, but it might have been that the Max 2 development was affected by these other developments going on at the company. As always, I'm going to be keeping a very close eye on things, and if you want to keep up to date on developments like this, then please consider subscribing to the channel, and if you can, like the video, if you like it of course, and click on the bell notification icon as well, and that will alert you to any new content from me. And if you're feeling particularly generous and you want to support the channel further, I've got some links in the description below. I don't like really asking that kind of thing. It's not in my nature, and I know that cost of living is very difficult at the moment, but the link's there if you want to support the channel. So I hope this video has been interesting for you, and I will see you all in the next one.